Hello and welcome to my channel, your go-to source for the latest in WWE 24. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for all the updates. Let's dive right in.
Triple H has a lot of things said about him lately. The goodwill he developed until April 2024 has seemingly evaporated, and a major error has now been made after the second night of Wrestlemania 42. It's safe to say that Wrestlemania 42 wasn't exactly met with acclaim. There was, however, a night and day difference between the reception of Night 1 on Saturday and Night 2 on Sunday. For one, the main event of Sunday between Roman Reigns and CM Punk was considered by many as the best we've seen in years. Although these are all subjective opinions. Either way, there was at least a modicum of momentum that WWE had and should have capitalized on since WrestleMania 42. But it seems like the exact opposite has been done by the Triple H-led creative team. There are now a lot of conspiracies that Triple H is simply the fall guy for TKO, making decisions that outpower his, such as the Pat McAfee return debacle. After the May 1st episode of SmackDown, it's clear as day that the Game and his entire team are making a major error by not capitalizing on the momentum they had after WrestleMania 42. Gunther pivoting from an LA Knight feud and World Heavyweight title interest to then moving on to the WWE Championship picture. But the worst example of the creative team losing the plot is the Gingerbread Man storyline, as this week on SmackDown, Sami Zayn killed an inanimate object. Trick Williams had to run out for the save, and when he took it to the medical room, the physician declared the inanimate figure no more. If this isn't an example of a downgrade, then we don't know what is. We're aware that the opinion of the product post-January 2025 hasn't been great, but things seem to be getting worse. WrestleMania has always been WWE's grandest stage, a spectacle where careers are defined, legacies are cemented, and the future of the company is often rewritten in a single night. But sometimes, even the biggest event of the year can leave behind more questions than answers. That appears to be exactly what happened following Night 2 of WrestleMania 42, where decisions made under the leadership of Triple H may have created a ripple effect that could impact WWE for months to come. While the show delivered unforgettable moments, shocking twists, and high-energy performances, there is a growing sense among fans and analysts that something didn't quite land the way it should have. The issue isn't just about one match or one result. It's about the broader direction and the choices that now seem questionable in hindsight. The pressure of expectations. Triple H has been widely praised since taking over creative control. His approach has often been seen as more grounded, storytelling-focused, and respectful of long-term booking. However, WrestleMania is a different beast altogether. It demands not only satisfying conclusions, but also bold decisions that push the company forward. Heading into WrestleMania 42, expectations were sky high. Multiple storylines had been building for months, some even years. Fans anticipated payoff moments that would feel earned and meaningful. Instead, Night 2 left many feeling that the culmination of these arcs either came too abruptly or worse, didn't deliver the emotional or narrative impact they deserved. The booking decision that changed everything. At the heart of the criticism lies one key decision, a match outcome that has divided the WWE universe. Whether it was the handling of a top championship bout, the protection, or lack thereof, of a major superstar, or the sudden shift in a storyline's direction, the result has sparked intense debate. One of the biggest issues is that the decision appears to contradict months of careful storytelling. WWE had built a narrative that seemed to be heading toward a clear and satisfying conclusion. Fans had emotionally invested in that journey, only to see it take a sharp turn at the final moment. This kind of swerve can sometimes work. WWE has a history of shocking fans in ways that ultimately pay off. But in this case, the move feels less like a masterstroke and more like a miscalculation, one that risks undermining the credibility of the product. Fan reaction. Confusion over shock value. Immediately after Night 2 went off the air, social media exploded with reactions. While some fans appreciated the unpredictability, a significant portion expressed confusion and frustration. The problem wasn't that the outcome was shocking, it's that it didn't feel justified. In wrestling, shock value alone isn't enough. Fans want surprises, but they also want coherence. They want to look back and see the logic behind a decision, even if it wasn't obvious at first. Right now, many are struggling to do that. This disconnect between creative intent and audience reception is where the real problem lies. Triple H has built his reputation on understanding the audience, so when a decision feels out of sync with fan expectations, it stands out even more. Impact on top stars. Another major concern is how this decision affects WWE's top talent. WrestleMania is supposed to elevate superstars, solidify their status, and create new icons. But if the booking doesn't support the goal, it can have the opposite effect. Some performers who entered WrestleMania with immense momentum now find themselves in uncertain positions. A loss at the wrong time, or a victory that doesn't feel meaningful, can stall a career's trajectory. In a company where perception is everything, even a single misstep can have lasting consequences. Triple H's error may not just be about one storyline. It could impact multiple superstars who were depending on WrestleMania to define their next chapter. The long-term storytelling problem. One of Triple H's strengths has been long-term storytelling. Under his leadership, WWE has embraced slow-burn narratives that reward patient viewers. But WrestleMania 42 Night 2 may have disrupted that approach. When a carefully built storyline doesn't pay off as expected, it creates a sense of unpredictability, but not the good kind. Instead of feeling excited about what comes next, fans may start to question whether investing in long-term arcs is worth it. Consistency is crucial in wrestling storytelling. If fans believe that narratives can be abruptly altered without satisfying conclusions, it weakens their emotional connection to the product. Was it a last-minute change? One theory gaining traction is that the controversial decision may have been made late in the process. WWE has been known to change plans at the last minute, especially when trying to create a memorable WrestleMania moment. If that's the case, it raises important questions about creative stability. A last-minute change can sometimes elevate a show, but it can also derail months of planning. If WrestleMania 42's Night 2 was indeed affected by such a shift, it might explain why the outcome feels disjointed. The risk of overbooking. Another criticism being directed at Triple H is the possibility of overbooking. WrestleMania matches often feature dramatic twists, interference, and multiple layers of storytelling. But there's a fine line between compelling drama and excessive complexity. If a match becomes too convoluted, it can overshadow the core story. Fans may struggle to focus on the emotional stakes when there are too many moving parts. In the case of Night 2, some believe that the storytelling became unnecessarily complicated, diluting the impact of the final result. What happens next? Despite the backlash, it's important to remember that WWE is a long-term storytelling platform. One controversial decision doesn't define an entire era, but it does create challenges that must be addressed. Triple H now faces the task of course correcting. The episodes of RAW and SmackDown following WrestleMania will be crucial in determining whether this decision was truly a mistake or part of a larger plan that simply hasn't revealed itself yet. If WWE can provide compelling follow-up storytelling, the narrative could still be salvaged. But if the aftermath fails to address fan concerns, the criticism will only grow louder. Learning from the past. WWE has faced similar situations before. There have been moments in WrestleMania history where decisions were initially criticized, only to be vindicated later through strong storytelling. However, there have also been cases where controversial outcomes led to prolonged dissatisfaction. The key difference is execution. If Triple H can turn this situation into an opportunity, building new rivalries, elevating talent, and delivering meaningful consequences, he may still come out on top. Final thoughts. Triple H's tenure as WWE's creative leader has been largely successful, but WrestleMania 42 Night 2 may represent his most significant misstep so far. The decision in question has sparked debate, confusion, and concern about the direction of the company. Wrestling is an art form that thrives on audience engagement. When fans feel disconnected from the story, it becomes a problem that needs immediate attention. Triple H now has the chance to prove that this wasn't a fatal error, but rather a risky move that will ultimately pay off. Only time will tell if that's the case. For now, one thing is certain. The fallout from WrestleMania 42 is far from over, and all eyes are on what happens next.